Hello YouTubers, my name's Lisa and you're watching Crafts at Home with Lisa. Today we are going to have a look at making this fella. I don't know if you can see it because of the darker sort of background, lighter background and the darker the dog is. But he's pretty cool, sort of a bit Scooby-Doo-y, a bit Scooby-Doo like. So I'm going to show you today for everybody to have a go at, even beginners. He's so simple and so easy, it just needs breaking down into a few simple steps. Sorry, my camera, I'm a nightmare. It's because it's moved, because I've moved desks and everything, so I've just got to find my bearings, which is hence my square, which you'll see in a bit, no doubt. It's my my camera square, so I know where not to go. Okay, so this black one is extremely hard to see. So what I'm going to do is do it in a brown. Very, very much easier. Much easier. So before I get started, if you want to see lots more films and videos that I'm making like this, which are step-to-step tutorials to do with painting, drawing, clay work, wood burning, glass etching, Dremel, all sorts of things, hit that subscribe button right down underneath. Hit it now and then you won't miss another thing. Every time I bring a video out, it'll just let you know and tinkle up on your iPad or your phone or whatever it is you're watching it on. So hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get my subscribers up. It's very difficult. I haven't been doing it very long. I'm by no means an expert in anything that I do, but I do like to try and, if I can break it down into things that makes it easy for everybody to do it, then that's great. So let's get started. You will need some sort of blending tool. Now this is just one that I got, just a cheap one, nothing special. But this bit on the end here is what I like to use. And it has got a point on the end, but it's quite a thick one, so I can't just use it anywhere I want to. So you have to be careful with that. A plain old paintbrush. It's got a small end on it. And some pretty coarse bristles. They're not great, but make sure it's an old one because clay destroys paintbrushes. I've got my craft knife. If you haven't got a craft knife, just find a knife out the kitchen. You just want something that's just sharp enough so we can get and cut through certain bits. There's not much you need it for. And this is just a pointy tool, like it's got a sort of a bit of a point on the end. You could use a cocktail stick. Anything that's got a bit of a point on will work absolutely fine. And then I've just got my wall tools, which are these. Brilliant things. Then the other end is just different rubber ends on them. So they're quite good. I can't remember if I use them or not. I don't think I do, but it doesn't hurt to have them. Okay, so I push all them to one side and that. So we're going to start off. I'm going to do quite a large head so that you can see, and it's got a really good amount of detail in it. So you want out of a ball about that big, probably 1/3 of it, 2/3 of it. Okay. Going to rip the end off. We don't need masses on the end. We do need some though. So that leaves me with about, actually I'm going to take that bit back, that much. Okay, and that much over there, if you can see the differences. 2/3, 1/3. So we'll just put that to one side. That's for making ears and things like that, and noses and whatnot. So I did condition this and put it through the pasta machine earlier on. I will do a video about how I condition clay. I haven't been using clay for a while because I've been doing some diamond art I got for my birthday. So majority of my clay's gone quite hard. So it's just I can do a video at some point on how I do and sort of do my clay and condition my clay. So roll it around in your hands like so. So you've got a nice ball, just like that. Okay, and we are going to 2/3 down, so there's 1/3, 2/3. Just put your finger there and rock it, okay? Because what you're doing is trying to create a muzzle. There we go, look. If you feel like it's too big, you can always break it back up, put it back on, do whatever you need to. If you're happy with the size of it, I'm not happy with the size of that. That's not big enough. Although, let me see. No, I'm not happy with that. There's too much nose and not enough head. So let's get rid of that and start again. Now, the good thing about this dog, the dog's head that we're doing, it doesn't matter. You may not like the length of the muzzle I do, and I might not like the shortness of the level, you know, the nozzle, the muzzle that you do. It really is down to taste. I like to emphasise big nose, big ears and all that sort of thing. It's sort of a bit of a kooky looking dog, if you can see on that one. Whoa. Just a bit of a daft looking dog. Emphasising bits like his ears and his nose and things like that. So that's what I'm aiming for today. But if you wanted to, you could get it a little bit more realistic. Okay, I'm going to try that again. So I'm going to go, oh, that's the trouble with having them round. They shoot off all over the place. So applying some pressure. Okay, now it's gone all funny. I'm not having much luck tonight, am I? Right, I'm going to go with that, I think. If you're not happy with the length of his nose and you think it's too big, like I think it's too big right now, you can just cut the end off. Just trying to think, if I cut the end off that, whether it would be too small. This is my concern. Okay, so I think that'll be alright. Sorry, I've got an awful frog in my throat tonight. Okay, so I'm happy with what we've got now, eventually. Sorry about that, but it just shows, if you're happy with it, you know you're happy with it. If you're not, it's just not going to sit properly. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sorry about hearing that. That's my son, who's got a mouth the size of a foghorn. He sat 2 rooms down. Okay, so happy with that. So the first thing we're going to do is put in his eyes. So this is what we're going to use the paintbrush for. Okay. Actually, I might use, yeah, I'm going to use the paintbrush first so we can get the idea. So I'm going to put one hole here. And you want it to go long ways rather than round ways, if that makes sense. Okay, and one hole here. There we go. And then on the end of one of my bottles, it's got a flat bit. So I'm just going to go in there now, sort of make them a little bit bigger, but kind of a bit more, make them even. Is probably the most important thing. It does, when you do it, push your dog's head out of proportion in certain places. So be sure to push it back in to where you want it. And you can use your fingers then if you want to. I like to squeeze the muzzle in the centre part, like so. It's going to look a bit odd until you get eyes and whatnot in there, which we're going to do in a minute. Well, in a bit. Won't be long, we'll be doing them. So that's really what you're looking for, is that sort of, looks a bit odd, but that's what you're really looking for. Okay. So the next bit we're going to do is his chin. So, well, it's his big lips. This one here, it's big lip that goes right the way round. Okay. So you're going to get a piece of clay, make sure it's nice and supple, and you're going to roll it into a sausage. Like so. Now it doesn't have to be ever so long because it's going on the underside of his chin. So you want it really sort of even with his eyes, is where you want it to be going really. Yeah, that's a little bit long. So just trim it off if it's too long. I mean, you could keep it on there if you wanted to and sort of just watch it in. Okay, so we're going to just, the back part of it, you're going to push down and the very, very top. So along the top here, I forget what to, my brain goes doolally sometimes, and I can't think of anything. So you're just going to bring that up and mould it, is a word. I'm going to use that word. And I'm going to get a piece of sticker and I'm going to stick it to the wall, because I'm constantly forgetting that word. So you're going to mould it all the way round on the top of the lip, okay? Holding it very, very gently on the rest, because you don't want to distort his face at all. Now I like quite a square sort of faced dogs. I like my Rottweilers. You might like a smaller faced dog. You might like, I mean, it's entirely really what you're sort of in your preferences. You might be a dog, sort of small dog person. That's great, but that's not what I go for. But that doesn't mean that it won't look good, because it can look good. If you're doing a smaller dog person, I would probably do a smaller chin part, because they're not like, I like Rottweilers and things like that, and they've got quite a large, like big lips. So always do remember that. It's okay. Oh look, I've completely squished his eye. Right, just push him back into place and back to where you want him. Use your tools again if you have to. And make sure they're all nice and... Okay. Now I like, personally, to have, if you look at my nose, I like to have a bit coming down out of his eye that runs sort of down there. Each side, so when I put my eyeball in, you'll be able to still see this bit here. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. Go round, making it nice sort of shape that you want it. I like the old baggy lip, because that's what my dog's got. She's got, they kind of make a funny noise when she breathes or she's snoring. So that works well. Okay. So I'm happy with what I've got. Just make sure it's sort of well moulded on the bottom, because you don't want anything to come off. Okay. There we go. Right, so the next part I'm going to do, don't push down too hard on this front here, because it will flatten it down, and you don't really want to do that. We can sort of move it back around and play about with it when we come to doing the bottom part of his jaw here. Okay, so the next bit we're going to do is his eyes. So make sure his eyes are nice and symmetrical with each other, like that. And then we're going to get, not massive balls, because I don't want them sat inside the eye. I want them just to sit just on the outside. But make sure you've got two the same size, otherwise it will look a bit peculiar. Okay. Right, make sure it's symmetrical, that's what we were saying. And I sort of flatten that bit down, and then sort of pinch it as it goes up this way. It gives it a nice dog shape. Whoops, sorry about that. Tuck that in there. Okay, so I'm going to push them in, see if they fit. It looks like they do. So that's what we've got so far. It looks a bit googly right now, but you'll understand in a second. So with your brush, okay, you're going to, at the bottom part of the eye, just push it in. Like so. Make sure it's sort of a nice size. And do the same again, push it in. It can be a bit sticky, so be careful. See, I'm not liking that. Now what I did with my other dogs, my other one that I made sort of push the eye up like so, sort of smooth it all down and everything around the eye, and I put another eye in there. It's up to you if you want to do this. I just found it sort of sets a little bit, looks a bit sort of more normal, okay? So I'm going to do the same again. So I've got them, make sure they're sort of, like I said, symmetrical. Always got to go with symmetrical. Make sure they're nice and symmetrical, and then it'll work. And it looks the same both sides, and it just saves you a lot of aggro when it comes down later on. So this time I'm going to put a ball in. It's not going to be quite as big as the last one. Like I say, if you want to do this bit, you can do. If you don't, it doesn't matter. You can just use the two. I don't know why. It's just on the dogs. Everything else that I do, I don't tend to do this. But I just feel like it just... See, way too big. I think we'll get away with half one of those. Yeah, that one's not quite big enough. I think that one's just slightly too big. So just nip a bit off one and put it on the other. Okay, let's try that. Okay. So if you put a little ridge along the top of the head, just up there, that will save us having to put a ridge on between the ears. Okay. Yeah, that's better. So push them in, like so. Bring your eyebrow, the tops of your eye down and whatnot. And now we're just going to do exactly the same again at the bottom, leading out to the to this bit here, sort of just in front of his eye. And then I like to do a bit of a line. And again, that side and down. There we go. Now don't panic if you don't like the look of the eyes. You've got eyebrows to put on there yet as well. So we're going to put those on in a minute. We're just going to do his nose first. There we go. Looking pretty good. Don't panic if you're looking at him and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't see how this is going to even look like a fairly good dog. Don't panic. Okay, so the nose. I like to push mine in a little bit. Piece of clay about that big, and then you're just going to make a triangle. You don't want it ever so thick, but you don't want it ever so thin. Now I like to do big noses, which I'm going to just gently push on there, so we know it's on. And then with your very thin paintbrush end, you're going to pop just at the bottom of it 2 little nose holes, like so. Like a little piggy nose almost. Like that. And now we are going to put his jaw on. So you want a fairly largish bit for this. Ow. You want to play about with it, get it nice and pliable, because we've got to mould it to the back of his head. What we will do before we put that on is do his top lip. You're going to get your knife and from the end of his nose, look, you're just going to cut down. Pull it out slightly and just round off the corners like so. Oh my goodness, like so. So you've got a nice sort of split there, if you can see that. Like so. That's the front of his mouth. I think he's starting to look really cool. You will look at it and think, oh my goodness, it's not what it looks supposed to look like. That will happen until you get his ears on, believe it or not. His ears are the key. So this bit, you're just going to get it, sort of roll it in your hands, and you're just going to make a little sausage out of it. Like so. And then we're going to measure it up. And I can tell instantly that's not big enough. So let's get some more. Unfortunately, this is a bit of a offer it up and see what happens sort of scenario. Now I've been trying to do and looking at how to do some dogs and that. My granddaughter likes Scooby-Doo, and I think I'm going to have to do a Scooby-Doo something or other for her birthday, which is coming up next month. She's 2 already, and I'm pleased to say we are expecting another one, so it'll be a second grandbaby, so very excited. So right, back to doggies. Right, so you want to flatten it out just a little bit, like so. And we're going to offer it up now, and I think that would work very well. Can you see the bottom of the jaw, the way it, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so one end of it I'm going to flatten, like so, because when we mould it at the underside, it's less of time that you're pushing and shoving around, like so. See, and then you're just going to mould it around the back, around the sides a little bit. Not too much around the sides, because you don't want to lose that shape that you've got with the lips. So just like that, pushing it on, making sure it fits nicely. And there you've got his mouth. See, so we're doing all right, aren't we, everybody, at that point? Okay. So now some people put ridges, 2 pieces up along the back here. I don't need to. Mine has got a ridge already where I pushed it like that when I was doing his nose. So I don't need to do that, but we do have to do eyebrows. So we're going to get 2 little balls of clay. If you always do the clay as, if you've got to make 2 of something, always get 2 balls of clay the same size to start with. That is the easiest way I would say to you, because then if you've got the same sort of clay and you're pushing it in the same sort of directions, you're going to get the same sort of shape. Is my, let's see, that one's slightly bigger. But it just gives you an idea, and it makes it easier for you than having a big ball of clay and a little ball of clay and trying to do exactly the same thing and marry it up to 2. It's like 2 eyebrows would be terribly, terribly hard if you've got 2 different sizes. So, okay. That's too big, I can tell now. So I'm just going to pick the ends off, which when we come to doing the other one, I know now, get it into my little slug shape and then pick the ends off. So pull the ends off. Okay, so it's going on like so. So he's got a big old eyebrow, and we're just going to push down this is the side of it here, and we're going to do the same in the middle. Okay, trying not to sort of get into that sorry, I keep going off this because I keep moving my arms back. Like I say, I have moved desks, so at the moment I'm still trying to find my my feet. I had it under control in the other room, but I've got to learn all over again where my boundaries are. So if I do shoot off camera for a split second or a minute, I do apologise. So there we go, there's the first one. You can mould them how you want to. Looking pretty cool. If you have this too high up on his head, he'll look like he's got a surprise. So you can use your pen, your paintbrush, just to mould it. If you roll it, it will give a lovely, nice sort of closed finish. Enough for you to then just rub your finger over it and make something of it. Okay. Very pleased with that one. So I know I've got to nip the end off and the other end off. There we go. So make it into a slug shape, roll it between your fingers. And I like to make the thinner the ends and that sort of thing. It just makes it easier for you when it comes to rubbing it and sort of moulding the ends in. So like we're going to have to do this again. So again, just sort of sweeping. Use your brush to control it, or so you could just roll it like so. See how that just finishes it and gives it a nice finish. And then you can just run your finger over it and that just straightens out that part of it. And then this bit goes down, down here, And then you can use your thumb if you want to, just to do the back of it. Just kind of pinch it with your thumb is what we need to be doing. Like so. Now that's a little bit harder to get to here, so I'm going to use the end of my brush and roll it. If you just roll it down the clay, it will automatically just, see, straight down there. It takes a little bit of practicing, that bit does. But, I mean, even if you were to drag it, it would still do the same thing. And then as long as you can, all you've got to do is rub your finger over it afterwards when you're done. So, like that. And there you go. Perfect. Yeah, very pleased. Just put them down, make sure you've got it all symmetrical. Okay, so if you can see that, beautiful. Got the mouth done, which we're going to flare out a little bit. Big mouths. Just pull it out just a little bit. And if it's a bit thick, just kind of tease it but squeeze it. I know that sounds silly. You see what I mean? You can squeeze it as well as put it where you want it, where you're doing it. Like so. There we go. And perfect. So there we go. Now we just got a pair of ears to put on. If you don't like this ridge down the middle, you can get rid of it if you don't like it, or you can have a bigger one. Some people put 2 on and then just sort of mould the edges too. But I don't like doing that. I'm not keen on the on that bit in the middle. I don't mind I don't mind just a little bit, if you can see it. But like I say, I moulded that when I moulded his nose. Okay, moulded down his nose. So next we're going to do his ears. Now I like a big pair of ears on my dogs. So I'm going to have big ears. So again, I've got 2 off, make 2 balls. That is the easiest way, I think. And then when you've finished rolling them in your fingers, move him back. So roll it in the palm of your hand. And again in the palm of your hand. I think that looks pretty good to me. So tweak it at the top, push it at the bottom. You don't want it flat, okay? You just want to work it and then really sort of pull it in at the top. Now the bottom I like to go round and just thin it out like that, as though it would fit on top of a gnome or something, like a gnome hat. See how that would fit on top of a gnome hat. That way there's not so much pushing and shoving when I'm trying to mould it to the top of his head. So that just makes it much easier. So making it thinner, fatter, whichever way you want to go. I don't like my ears too thick, but just sort of tweak it in. Oh dear me, tweak it into place. Okay, so there's one ear. So I'm going to put that one on. Goodness me, they are big. I'm just going to cut the front off that because it's much harder to sort of mould it in front of the ear because of the eyebrow. And I'm going to bend it because no ears are straight on a dog. I'm going to put it on. And it will look funny to start with because you A, haven't moulded it on, and B, you've got to bend the ear in accordance to where you want it. Okay, so just literally going around it, holding it very carefully because obviously you've already put everything else on and you don't want the shape of him to go out of shape. So you will have to be a little bit careful. And that one I'm going to just get that edge onto that ridge. And then I'm going to use my brush. Now as long as it's down, it doesn't have to be actually moulded into the head as long as it's behind the eyebrow. Okay. This bit's a little bit more tricky. But just take your time. Put a film on in the background. I mean, I've sort of said in the past, in previous videos, I like to usually have The Walking Dead playing on in the background. I've seen like 5 million times now each episode. We've watched it over and over again, and I'm sure like many of you, we was devastated when they played the first episode on the new season, and it never went no further because of the COVID. We was devastated. So now I'm just playing them over and over again now and watching the season from start. I'm at season 4, I think. And just on the background, just relax while you're doing it, enjoy what you're doing, and don't think too much on it, because see what I mean, that there is perfect. I'm quite happy with that. As long as it's sort of, you can't see the moulder in and in this piece here, as long as it butts up to this or is moulded in here, use your brush, it definitely works. So we're going to do the other ear now. Because our piece of clay was the same sort of size, I don't have to worry too much about sizing. And that's had a bit of a crack in it. Let's just give it a quick wiggle, just to get the clay soft. It will work easier if it is soft. Okay. I'm going to roll it in my hands, warm it up a little bit, and we're going to start. Just sort of squeezing it. Don't want it too big, not too fat, because then it makes it awkward when you want to bend it, like we've done with that one. But I do want to go around, just squeezing the edges out, because that's the bit we're going to mould, don't forget. So the thinner it is, the easier it is to mould it down and mould it into the head. You don't want it too much in the front, like that's what I cut off before. Might cut the side off that one as well. So I'm just going to trim the side off. Okay, there's something going on with my Alexa now. She's misbehaving. Had a power cut earlier on, and now I think she's struggling to connect to the internet. Okay, so we've just cut those side bits off. So I'm just going to flatten them out again, because I don't want it to be, like I said, awkward to put on and mould in. So make sure you've got them at the same sort of side placement, and then just go round like we did before, just brushing it down. Okay. Don't panic too much about the shape. If you bend it out of shape pretty bad, then obviously you've got a problem. But if it's just a little bit, we can go along and redo that bit. Not a problem. There we go, look. That's just on top of that ridge, on the top of the head. Just use the end of your paintbrush, rolling it backwards and forwards. And now at this point I don't worry too much about that central ridge now, because we've got the ears and everything all on. It's just, I don't worry too much now. Right, that's quite big there, so I'm just going to push it back and just kind of, it's finding somewhere for it to go and mould in, like so. There we go. Don't ever panic either. It's always fixable. Clay's great. I mean, I quite like working with air dry clay, but it's not very forgiving. If you don't sort of get a move on and that sort of thing, you tend to find it can dry out quite quickly. So if I'm going to do something new, I tend to do it in the polymer clay, because then I know that it doesn't matter how many times I do it wrong, I can just put it back out and start again. So, okay, and I'm just going to squeeze in at the base of both of them. And there you have it. I'm just going to push one of these up his bottom, well, up his back I suppose, for want of a better word. I will have a go at a body for one of these eventually, but for the right now I'm not too worried about it. So there's my original one, and there's the one we've done today. I think they look pretty spectacular. What do you think? do hit that subscribe button and leave me comments in the comments bar. I would love to see what you actually make, and if you manage to do it, it would be fantastic. I would be really, really pleased with that if somebody would do that. I know I had a message left by a gentleman who had no idea how to do it, and I'm afraid nor do I. It's not something that I've ever done before. I mean, I could find out, that's not a problem, if anybody would like to know and doesn't know. But please have a go at it. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to up my subscribers. It would be really nice to get to 500 in the next couple of months. We're over 100 now. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like, share it, tell all your friends, have a watch, and enjoy it. So happy dog making, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.